Good evening. Welcome to the council meeting of January 16th. Anybody in attendance needing some amplifying headphones, please raise your hand and we'll get those to you right away. If not, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Donna, can you do a roll call, please?
I will. Councilmember Blush.
Here.
Councilmember Sherman.
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Mayor Nesco.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Schmidt.
Here.
Councilmember Stearns.
Here.
And Councilmember Gilmore.
Here. Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Council have any late changes to the agenda? City manager.
Mr. Mayor, it's on your agenda, but it was an added project. We had a well pump go out recently in well four, so that has been added to your agenda in a late manner, and we're asking for a waiver of 3-touch rules so we can move forward to get that project completed in a timely manner. So that'll be added to your agenda tonight.
All right, Council Speaker. All right, thank you. Council have any board reports to share? All right. Has everyone had a chance to review the consent agenda? May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as published?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, tonight we have our first presentation is a promotion of police corporals. Very exciting. Council will rise. The audience will get on with that. Would you gentlemen come up front? Ladies.
Comes a lady.
All of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, say your name.
I, Samantha Rush,
I, Gary Roseal. Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and to abide by the code of ethics of the Shelton Police Department.
and to abide by the code of ethics of the Shelton Police Department.
And I will faithfully and impartially
And I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of police corporal of the city of Shelton.
discharge the duties of the police corporal of the city of Shelton.
All right, congratulations. And thank you for your service.
Yeah.
And then city manager, you have any comments?
I think I'll hand it over to Chief. I want to thank you on behalf of my department, though, for taking a leadership role with Shelton Police Department and your service up to this point and for the years to come. I know it's really valued amongst your staff and the entire department. So I'll hand it over to the chief at this point.
I just want to say congratulations to Corporal Latonia and Corporal Portillo, sorry. Both of them have been with the police department for several years and had significant growing with us. They're both officers in charge, were first line supervisors and field training officers that trained more police officers over the past couple of years. They underwent significant testing for this position. We just didn't hand this out. It was a multi-phase testing that was not even scored by us. It was scored by outside entities. So we had nothing to do but to look at the list and pick who scored at the top of the list and which that's selected. So thank you so much. And then I have one more presentation.
Yeah, I think you're off the hot seat.
Yeah, You're up, I'll say he's not. So I'd like to introduce again, Corporal Gary Portillo, who is our officer for the year. Every year, we ask for nominations, from our police officers on who they feel is most deserving, for this officer, and, they give, myself and Captain Patton nominations, and then we sit for those and we compile them, and we decide on the officer. And this year it is Officer, Gary Portillo. He is an 11-year law enforcement veteran, and he was hired by the Shelton Police Department in 2021. Prior to his appointment in Shelton, he was a law enforcement officer for the Nevada Department of Public Safety in the Clark County School District. While he's employed by those agencies, he was a probation officer, Capitol Police Officer, school resource officer. He holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. And since he was hired in 2021, he's filled the positions of officer in charge, field training officer, a detective, less than lethal weapons instructor, and now he is a corporal. In 2023, Gary is one of our top performers in statistics relating to calls responded to, reports written, and arrests made. He's also a field training officer for some of our new police officers. He's revered by his supervisor as professional, dependable, and a pleasure to work with. Also in 2023, we saw a huge increase in homicides and firearm-related incidents involving the Guatemala community. Gary's previous experience as a detective, coupled with him being bilingual, was integral to the investigation of these incidents. Gary is not currently a detective at the time of these incidences, but responded to them and assisted detectives with their investigation. Gary identified critical need that they need to make a law enforcement connection with the Guatemalan community in Shelton, and he did so by volunteering his time to make these significant connections. He attended church mass with the Guatemalan community, community events, and he kept in touch with friends and family and victims of these incidents. Not only his dedication to the department and the personnel have been noticed by officers, but his dedication to the safety and the trust of the community. That's why our officer of the year is Corporal Gary Portillo.
Posing, yeah. Thanks, Chief.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Right. Okay, our next presentation is from Finance Director Mike Gibbons.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of the council. Tonight, I'm presenting the November monthly financial report. I'm gonna keep comments pretty brief because I think next month, when you're able to see the December financial report, it will have really even more relevant information because obviously we know more once we're able to see what the fiscal year truly ends at. But at this writing for the November, it puts us at 92% of the year. So if everything were received as far as revenue and expenses, that's where those percentages would be. But we know not everything comes in an equal manner. But we'll look at a couple of areas here while we have the November financial statement in front of you. As a reminder, our fiscal year ends December 31st. We keep the fiscal year open for 20 days. So up until January 19th this year, we're posting really two check runs. One for invoices that are 2024 and one for invoices that are dated in 2023. So essentially they hit the 2023 budget. And we'll do that through this week and then we'll close 2023, anything that then comes in is paid out of 2024. So that's also why the numbers we're showing right now were what we knew as of November, but they'll change a bit as we close out the fiscal year. So I guess I'd stress that mostly that the estimates for the general of where we stood in November, and it'll change. There's some change in the other funds, but it predominantly hits the general fund. So on page 2 of the report, the general fund revenue, that should be close to where the year end turns out to be, because we just won't make many changes to revenue. So property taxes by the end of November are largely received. You'll notice we're just under budget, which is what we want. We don't want to be over budget for property taxes, but we kind of want that sweet spot where we're not too far under. We want to, of course, collect on the levy and then whatever else comes in as far as prior years paid tax, unpaid taxes that are collected and that sort of thing. So that's looking really good because that's one of our top revenue sources for the general fund. And then we're estimating that we'll be slightly over for sales tax, which is great considering just where the economy is. So that shows a robust year for us. And then, as I mentioned earlier, as I made these presentations, our estimate and budget for business and occupation tax was showing that we'd be under. That's holding true. That one should stay right about where it is. So overall, we're estimating that we'll exceed budget on the revenue side of the general fund by just over $340,000. So that's looking really good. On page 3, our breakdown of expense categories provides for the general fund is where we are estimating for November. Again, things will change as we close the year. As of the November financial, we're estimating that expenses would be well under budget. So that'll change, but I fully expect us to stay there. Largely, I think you'll remember a lot of the savings was due to jail costs being under where we estimated when we prepared the budget in the fall of 2022. And then probably most impactful were those mid-year changes we made to the budget in mid-year of 2023. So on page 5, the comparison of general fund revenues and expenditures shows where we're at in the month of November compared to the prior 2 fiscal years. And you'll notice that due to those reductions that I just mentioned and careful management of our resources, our 2023 expenses in the general fund are actually very close to 2021. So you'll see they were up in 2022, but we're really matching closely to the 2 fiscal years prior. Then on page 6, we show a sales tax breakdown, and I just mentioned that since I highlighted that we're over in collections there. The top chart shows for all sales tax types received in 2023 through November, and on the bottom chart, we're highlighting for the month of November. You'll notice it's pretty comparable for the city of Shelton in both presentations of that, which it really tells us a lot about the sales tax we get here. It doesn't change a lot. It's probably not as volatile as some municipalities would see. We get that data directly from the Department of Revenue when they remit the receipts to us. And then starting on page 8 through the end of the financial report is a city wide overview of revenues and expenditures for each fund, showing 2023 budget, totals through November, and an estimated actual ending and then the variance to budget. And I do want to remind you, as I started the presentation out, these estimates will change, particularly for the general fund. There'll be some changes in the water and capital and sewer capital funds. We made a large payment for some more of the automated meter supply parts just last week, so that'll draw that down a bit, but those will change and we'll go over in a little bit more detail next month when we have the December financial report.
I just want to thank you and City Manager Mark Ziegler, your staff, and actually all department heads that made a lot of sacrifices to get this budget back in line. 6 months ago, it wasn't looking so pretty, and now it's looking pretty sustainable. You know, we've done a lot of hard work to get us here, and thank you. And City Manager, thank you as well.
Appreciate that, Eric. However, it has not necessarily solved a plaguing revenue problem paired with the costs of business to continue to rise. So while the work was done this fiscal year mid-period to right the ship, it won't survive next fiscal year. We'll be right back doing the exact same thing. So that's where I guess I'm at is, so Mike, we're looking pretty good starting off the fiscal year. Quick question on the 20-day window. What happens if it's 21 days or 25 days in its revenue? How does that get deposited after the 20-day fiscal cutoff for 2020?
Then it will go into the following fiscal year, so.
So it would be counted as 2024 revenue. Okay.
And we really just leave that open for expenditures, primarily so that we can more accurately hit the budget. You know, many of our consultants, they can't get us that invoice by the end of December, so it gives us some time to process some of those in particular.
And to be as accurate as possible. I mean, those invoices, instead of being mid-year or mid-December, we can get them through December 31st and get the expenditures as accurate as possible for the fiscal year.
Yeah, the other thing that's coming up soon, that'll show probably a little bit of anomaly on sales taxes, construction. We're heading into some well construction, so there'll be some purchases locally, I'm assuming on that, so we'll coming and see likely that, but when's the next major check-in period with you guys on budget? When are you thinking? When you'll know kind of how 24 is going?
I think we want to do one certainly first quarter, so I think probably, you know, sometime in March would probably be the best opportunity to bring and come to a study session so we can have you know, have an open dialogue, an open conversation about where we lie, maybe affirm budget priorities from the council as well, so we can make sure we're continually checking in with council and meeting your goals.
Perfect. Yeah, no, there's some new folks here and we set the budget before, so this will be the check-in for that. So I know there's some thoughts or initiatives out there that we might be looking to prioritize, so.
Yeah.
Looking forward to March.
We certainly want to be consistent, if you will. This isn't a budget that should have a lot of supplementals throughout the year. That our goal is to hold our line, maintain our budget as efficiently and strictly as we can. Certainly, there's unknowns that will arise throughout the year. Those will be appropriate to address in the supplemental, but we'll do those strategically with all intent to have one supplemental. As you saw in 2023, we had two. And that may be very well the case at the end of 2024, but our intent is that we adhere to the adopted budget. We keep expenses in line with that unless there's a change in revenue or a major change in expense that we were unforeseen. Then we'll be back in front of council for consideration.
I have to say, I'm not sure that we're gonna be in the same spot next year as we were 6 months ago. The council here has made some very tough decisions on B&O tax, stormwater, sewer, and water rates. So I think that we have tackled the future so far.
Yeah, fair point.
I don't think that we're gonna be in the same spot in 6 months laying people off. I'm not sure that was quite fair. We made very tough decisions, or the previous council has made very tough decisions that affect all the people and citizens of the city of Shelton and our city manager is also, and has made some tough decisions as well to get us. So we're not doing that in 6 months. So again, thank you. Any other comments or questions for Mark or Mike? All right. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, we are now at city manager. Mark Ziegler has information for us about committee and board assignments.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. As you're aware, council members serve on boards and committees as established by the council itself, or maybe bylaws, or actually laws within local government to serve the interests of the council and the city of Shelton. You've been presented a list of these committees and boards. Some of the committees have had standing appointments over the years that I've heard back from council members, but also want to get new council members' interests on some of these committees and boards. There are some vacancies, and I'll just run through this real quickly and talk about potential interests here. Let's see, the first one was the MACOM Legislative and Governing Board. Council member Schmidt expressed interest in stepping away from that, moving into 2024, Councilmember Gilmore, I think, has expressed interest. Excuse me if I'm speaking out of turn. You can feel free to interrupt me. The left board, the Law Enforcement Officers and Firefighters Board, was created by a vacancy in the council member. I know, Councilmember Stearns has expressed some interest there. The Mason County Board of Health, is vacant due to change in council members, and Councilmember Gutierrez has expressed some interest in that board. The Peninsula Regional Transportation Planning Organization, we'll call it PRTPO for short. Councilmember Blush has expressed some interest in that. And then, as far as the external boards or committees, the opioid stakeholders group, that also became vacant with the change of council, and I believe it's the one I didn't confirm,
So I went.
Councilmember Sherman. Okay,
But they weren't done by
okay, so it doesn't meet your meeting schedule at this point? So I had 1:30 PM on the second Wednesday. That was not, it was earlier, correct?
then.
9 o'clock.
9 AM on 9 AM the second Wednesdays.
Right.
Okay,
If no one can grab it, I'll take it for now, but.
the other two kind of internal or subcommittees, if you will, that were established in 23 were the Subcommittee on Homelessness Response and the Budget Subcommittee. We have two vacancies there if they, I guess if the interested parties, the interested council members maintain those appointments from last year. And so that's open for discussion at this point. The Homelessness Response Committee, we met as needed. It was usually every other week. Councilmember Sherman, Councilmember Gutierrez, former Councilmember McDowell served on that. We certainly can reestablish that as council sees fit. And then the subcommittee. And we had a subcommittee on budget and finance subcommittee that started meeting as we started formulation. Just provided staff the opportunity to meet with 3 council members to get further direction prior to coming to the entire council. It was just more efficient process to essentially ensure, maintain that we're meeting council's goals and objectives in formulating the budget. So
I'm fine staying on that. If anyone else wants that. Well, there's 3 of us can go on that, but I'm fine staying on it.
On the time, of course.
yeah, that was kind of as needed. So we set the meetings as schedules allowed of individuals.
And so we need another person and we can make it work. My strong point, but I'm gonna learn more.
If anyone else wants it, I'll give it up, but I'll take it.
Councilmember Schmidt, are you interested in
That's fine.
maintaining that or?
Yeah. Okay.
So it looks like I have interest from Councilmember Gutierrez and Councilmember Sherman
That's fine.
with that subcommittee. But that would be 4.
Oh, no, I'll back off.
Oh, okay, sorry. Misunderstood you there, okay. All right, and then, I'm sorry, I'll go back to homelessness response, only Councilmember Blush. Correct, and then the maintain, Councilmember Sherman and Councilmember Gutierrez. Correct. Okay. All right. Anything you want me to cover again, or? I'll run through the list again, if you don't mind. You can take notes. Okay, please, okay. So we'll start at the top, the Economic Development Council, the EDC is Councilmember Schmidt. The Lodging Tax Advisory Committee is Mayor Anisco. Mason County Criminal Justice Working Team is Councilmember Sherman. The MACECOM Legislative and Governing Board is Councilmember Gilmore. The Law Enforcement and Firefighters Board is Councilmember Stearns. Mason County Board of Health is Councilmember Gutierrez. Mason County EMS and Trauma Council, Councilmember Schmidt. Mason Transit Authority Board, the regular meeting and joint meeting, Mayor Anisco. The PRTPO, we'll narrow that down. Councilmember Blush. The opioid stakeholders meeting, Councilmember Stearns. Mason County Housing Behavioral Health Advisory Board, we should have an acronym for that, is Mayor Nisco. The Shelton Memorial Park Board, Councilmember Gutierrez, still good there. You all have the pleasure of serving on the Metropolitan Park District Board. And then our council subcommittee on homeless response is Councilmember Sherman, Gutierrez, and Blush. And the subcommittee for budget and finance, our council members Schmidt, Gutierrez, and Sherman. Did I make any mistakes? Okay. I will I'll memorialize this, clean up the copy, and make sure it's all forwarded to council. At this point, I'm just asking, I've asked to maintain 3-touch rule to place this on the action agenda for February 6th.
Friends on that?
Yeah.
So. We just had the staples or something.
I could just place the council board and committee assignments on the February 6th, 2024 action agenda.
So. Oh, I didn't know we were doing the motion up there. So wait. Got a motion and a second to move this to the what? I'm sorry.
February 6th.
February 6th
Action agenda.
action agenda. And waiving the 3-touch rule. Favor say aye.
Believe that includes the
That would include 3-touch rule. Yeah. February 6th. Tonight's the briefing. Yeah. Sorry.
Do it again. We're good.
The motion was good.
All right. Okay, for now, on capital projects manager Aaron Nix has information for about a vehicle purchase.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, thank you. We got the C team tonight. I apologize for that, but I have several items that I'll be discussing with you. This first one is relevant to a vehicle purchase by our water department. This was budgeted in the 2024 budget by law, by our policies. Anything over 30,000 needs to come in front of the council to get approved. We typically use, in this particular instance, we use the state's contract for purchasing of vehicles. We get much better rates and deals with that. Our intent here is to purchase a new 3/4 ton 4x4 pickup. The other 3 vehicles that these folks are using are on average 19 years old and they're 2-wheel drive. So the intent is to equip them with appropriate vehicles. We're finding that some of these smaller vehicles actually do pretty good in helping us with snow control as well. Again, just wanted to bring this forward with the intent. And I don't, just, yeah, just looking for a motion to put this on the action for the February 6th meeting. If you have any questions specifically about the vehicle, all the breakdown is within the supporting documents. That's so. Open to questions, comments.
Donna, anyone set up public comment?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have a motion?
like the resolution number 13810-1223 on the city council February 6th, 2024 action agenda for further consideration.
All right, how much are questions? The budgeted items, so we have a motion and a second to place resolution number 1310-1223 on the city council February 6, 2024 action agenda for further consideration. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Our next business item, Safe Routes School Capital Projects Manager Aaron Nix has details.
Thank you again, Mayor. This particular item is basically a construction board for the Safe Routes to Schools project that I have been talking about. Previous councils and this new council, we talked about it in our last meeting. This is a project that is currently out to bid. We're having the bid opening on Thursday of this week at 10 a.m. here at our offices with the intent of moving forward with the Safe Routes to Schools project, which are 2 flashing or the rapid response beacons. There's actually going to be a total of 3 of them. Installation of them, as well as additional work on the signage in these areas. And I talked to you a little bit about, there's another item on here that I'll go into greater detail about it. with the intent, and I've included all of the bid announcement, all those things. We're looking at a project range of 850, 800,000 to $1 million. We'll see how it comes out. Our current cost estimate is included in there. About 850 or so is what we're projecting, at least construction costs. That doesn't include design work and everything else that we've done. So my hope is that we can, at the next meeting, I will actually have a bid and something that we can award. And that's my intent. The intent is the 3-touch rule. The idea is we're just kind of bringing this to bring it to your attention. We're out the bid right now with the intent that we can award it at our February 6th meeting on the action agenda. Are there any questions about that project? I know we detailed it pretty significantly at the last project. You're very familiar with it. Candidly, I think it's a very good project. And there's going to be more monies like this available in the future, which is good because there's some other areas we want to address, as the mayor knows as well.
Thank you. John, anyone have public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Do you have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to place resolution number 1296-1023 on the action agenda for the February 6th council meeting for further consideration.
All right, comments or questions?
Second.
Comments or questions?
Not so much a quiz for you, Aaron, but that's good. We're adding a bunch of new flashing beacons around the city now, and I'm just wondering, like the lifespan of these things, and then are we budgeting for the replacement? All that, I know we're getting the capital to install them, but we're not really raising the budget to, I don't know how much they cost, but I know we're paying much more now, so.
It's a very good question. I think to answer, I will answer your question. I think to start, we're looking to maybe standardize. We've been working with the school district. The reality is that, and candidly, we're putting them in, they're managing them as far as flashing times and those kind of little bit different with these flashing beacons. We have actually asked the school district whether they're interested in kind of partnering with us in that particular piece. I think the important part that we're understanding is the wireless piece to this. Currently, we have to do it via cable on all of them. These new ones are going to be wireless integrated, so it's going to provide some efficiencies there. As far as that, no, we need to start doing stuff like that as far as depreciation and replacement. The ones that we have are 10, 15 years old, it's my understanding. They're pretty outdated. So if we can establish that time period as far as lifetime cost recovery, yes, we need to do that. But no, we do not do that right now.
Just thinking, because it's not like it's an asset that once that's installed, that if it burns, its lifespan burns out, it's not like we can't just not replace it, so we'll have to.
I understand.
Budget it out.
I do.
I'll be curious, like on the lifespan of these things. They're kind of off-grid, right? They have solar panel and battery.
Correct.
We're not running electrical at all.
That's correct. And we're not. 10 to 15 years is what I've kind of heard as far as life expectancy in those things. The ones that we have are still functioning well. It's just integration to LED now. That's kind of where we're at, getting all of them kind of LED retrofitted. And the reality is the solar is awesome, especially with LED. The draw is much less and it really does, it works well. So that's a very good point. We need to start doing that. I think we need to do that with a lot of stuff as far as just replacement costs in the future.
Yeah, our asset management system, as that has been integrated and kicked off, and we started to put in our systems into that, we certainly can track things like this much easier and build in those depreciations and build in those lifespans in there rather than
Streets funded asset, right?
be a streets funded asset. Absolutely right. General fund.
Fund. Six.
Yeah.
Got it.
I just offer this just because I have experience with this. I think you work for the state. There are some very good products out there, and I know we've kind of selected one to utilize for asset management. There are some really good ones out there. Cartograph is a phenomenal product that I've used in several different jurisdictions that I've at. The benefit with that is it has a work order function. It also has, as these things are completed, you import that into the software, and it basically gives you a life expectancy for each of those elements. Meaning, if you're proactively out maintaining it, you're gonna see those life expectancies move out significantly. So it's really good software. I'm not sure about our current one, but I'm saying there are some really good products to help that in the future if we decide to go down that pathway. Again, council, this is for the amendment. If you recall at the last meeting, we had discussion. We wanted to include a little bit more design money. Candidly, most of that work's already done because we're going to bid. What we're trying to do is get this approved so that we can finish that.
Yeah.
And
Aaron, can I interrupt right there, real quick? We didn't take a vote. Yeah, exactly. So there was no council action on E3. We haven't taken council action on E3 yet. And then you can move into F1.
sorry, it's okay. It's all right.
So there's no other questions?
No other.
Okay. We have a motion, a second to place resolution number 1296-1023 on the action agenda for on the February 6th council meeting for further consideration. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Now Aaron has information for us about a contract amendment for safe routes to school.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Again, this particular resolution is relevant to that additional design work that we did on. It just doesn't make sense to do work in an area and comprehensively not to look at the signing plan there. What we found is NUTCD stuff issues. So the intent with this amendment is to actually finish that, get that work completed so that we can install new signs at the time of construction. Again, we're going to be awarding this here shortly. The bid opening is on Thursday. So I'm just looking for approval of this resolution so we can finish that.
Thank you. Does anyone sign up for public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Read the resolution number 1308-1223.
Resolution number 1308-1223. A resolution of the Council of the City of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to approve amendment number 1 to the contract for design services associated with the Safe Routes to School crossing projects.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt resolution number 1308-1223 as presented.
All right, comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor, I didn't catch the second on that. Okay, thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 1308-1223 as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Aaron has another one for us. Grant.
And another. After
And
that.
another. Oh,
Yes, sir.
it's an Aaron show tonight.
It is. Council, we talked about this at your last council meeting. This is a grant acceptance for our Ingleside Reservoir capacity upgrades that were received this year, or excuse me, last year in the amount of $1.85 million. And basically, this is easy in the sense that what I'm looking for is the grant for the council to accept the grant money so that we can proceed with design as well as getting construction done for that project. Any questions? It's asked.
Donna, maybe, or does anyone have public comment?
No, they haven't, Mr. Mayor.
Reading the resolution number 1309-1223.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to accept grant funds in the amount of $1,850,000 for proposed improvements to the Ingleside pressure zone within the city of Shelton.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Move to adopt resolution 1309-223, accepting grant funds from the Washington State Department of Commerce in order to fund the Ingleside pressure zone water improvements as identified with the before.
All right, comments or questions? We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 1309-1223, accepting grant fund from Washington State Department of Commerce in order to fund the Ingleside pressure zone water improvements as identified within 2024 approved budget. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I gotta say, that was a very large motion. In transit today, I said, if we have to take 4 breaths for a motion, we need to shrink those.
If it's for $1.8 million, we'll, yeah, have a long motion, right?
All right, okay. Now we're on our late action item to replace a well pump, well four pump.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Councilman. My preference would be not to bring emergency things like this to you, and we are taking steps candidly to help ensure, at least from pump perspective, that hopefully we won't have to do this again. Unfortunately, the timing is a bit, it's actually, there's silver lining in everything. Unfortunately, we have a hit in that we need to pay for a new pump in well number 4. And again, this is light, this is helpful to help compensate you as far as making the decision for this. This particular pump, we're kind of grateful it went out now as opposed to in a month. If you guys remember, we awarded the well number 1 project. That's slated to start on February 19th. Our intent here, and I don't know how much you folks know about our water system. We actually have 3 active working wells at this point. We have 2 now because one of the pumps are bad. We need to at least have 2 wells pumping all the time in order to have consistent good water flow. So if we were to have lost the well number 4 during the construction of well number 1, we would have been on a world of hurt trying to supply water. What we'd like to do is, and once we found out, we did have a group go in and take a look at the pump. What they found out and realized is the motor's bad and it needs to be replaced. So what you have before you is a quote. We went out and got bids for this. This particular company can turn it around in 10 days once they've been given approval. So that was really helpful for us just because we need to get that up and functioning so that we can put down well number 1 in order to construct the other improvements that we're doing there. So unfortunately, and I don't like doing this either, we're requesting that the council please consider waiving the 3-touch rule in this particular instance because we got to turn it around. We got to get it installed for that very reason. In the future, and I've talked to Jay often about this, and everyone, we're going to look to be a little bit more proactive with these things. Typically in other places I've worked at, such as I was the general manager at Cushman, we would pull these pumps every 5 years or so, rewind them just to make sure that we need to get on a plan like that. That would help us because again, I don't want to come in emergency situation and continually ask for, we got to fix this pump. The intent is to just be more proactive and not have that happen. The other thing that I want to make the council aware is that we intend to take the old pump that's failed and rebuild it so that we can put it on a shelf. And if it's critical and we need it in a pinch, we'll have another one. So that's really the intent here with this particular piece. I know it's a big ask, 70K or so. I have talked with Mike as well as Jay, and we do have water reserves in order to draw from in order to replace this pump. So what I'm asking is I'm hoping the council will pass this tonight for us so that we can get going on getting that pump replaced in well number 4.
Thank you, Aaron. Donna, anyone sign up for public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Never reading of resolution number 1312-0124.
Resolution number 1312-0124. A resolution of the Council of the City of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to approve a public works contract with American Pump and Drilling for completion of the well 4 pump replacement project.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to waive the 3-touch rule and adopt resolution number 1312-0124 as presented.
All right, comments or questions?
The pump is $30,000, but this thing is like 405 feet underground.
Actually close to 700 feet.
Well depth, but.
Yeah.
Pump and it's at 400.
Yeah.
Correct. I understand the costs better, why it's so expensive, because it's really far underground.
Right.
It's a complicated operation.
And I think we're replacing a valve as well. Without it, it's not cheap either.
I agree, heavy preventive or preservation program on critical infrastructure.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Nix, thank you and for the speed and also for thinking about the future and trying to reuse the parts that we want to, we want to use in the future. I'm always in favor of increasing the quantity of water and the quality of water for the city. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's an honor to be working for you guys.
Don't know if I was done yet. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to say thank you. I want to say that we rebuilt well 4 pump 2 years ago. Does that sound
I
familiar?
think 15,
Newly installed in 2015 is the data that I have.
yeah.
Okay, then I was sitting out there listening to it,
Good memory.
but I remember well 4 and then well 1, we also did some work on well 1 as well. We
Yeah.
Cleaned the pipe and
Yeah, I think we actually lifted the
pump
well-
out,
the
yeah.
pump a little bit.
well, it's very important and sometimes things happen for a reason and this happened for a reason. I would have hated to see this happen next month when you have another well down, so
Or in August, frankly.
or in August.
That's a tough time,
would be good.
so it's never a good time. There's better times than others. So, yeah, it's nice that we have a contractor that's nimble enough to jump on the project and get the work complete.
And again, great idea to use the old pump, rebuild it for something for the shelf, you know. I think over the last few years, we've done a lot of redundancy in a lot of our systems, computer systems, and we did the double UV lights, so in case,
Yeah.
you know, we have that, we got better generators in case the power goes out during a huge rain event, so we don't dump sludge into the bay, you know, so redundancy is great. I mean, I wouldn't be upset if we bought another new pump to put on the shelf. I mean, if they're all the same.
Yeah.
You know.
They are, that's the part of
Oh.
the problem is they're sized specifically to the well.
Ah,
So that's the issue. This is a bigger pump than what we have in the other ones.
got it. So that drill didn't last very long though, because the well 1 pump was like 20 years old or something.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, unfortunately.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that is,
Mechanical.
the short is typically how you need to plan as a
Yeah.
water purveyor. Unfortunately, you'd be very lucky to get it with less than years. I mean, I get it, I understand it does, but you don't want emergencies happening. I mean, it's difficult, especially if we can't supply our citizens water.
We definitely want to supply water to our citizens. Thank you. Anybody else have any other questions?
I do have a question. You mentioned that there's some water reserve budget wise, would this erase that or just take a big chunk out of it? I don't think.
It would not erase it. Yeah, I think that we'd have to look back at I think Mike would have it in this report at this point.
We're estimating over 2.5 million.
Yeah, I think we're safe. Our hope is that we wouldn't have to go into the reserve, that we would maintain our expenditures appropriately to absorb this within our operating costs, but being it's January 16th, it's really hard to tell if we're gonna be able to do that. So we will maintain that within our operating costs, and then if we do have to adjust the water budget, like I said, one time closer to the end of the year in a supplemental, we'll certainly do that.
You were talking storage, no?
I was talking.
No.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah,
thought you were talking.
fund balance, yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
our fund balance is statutorily is 16% of the operating costs for utilities.
Our strategic reserve.
Strategic groups, sorry,
16.
yeah, 20% of general fund. Yeah, so we are maintaining that 16% of the operating budget.
Council.
Yep, all right, thanks. We have a motion and a second to waive the 3-touch rule and adopt resolution number 1312-1 or 0124 presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mark, you have city manager report for us tonight.
You know, a couple things, there's some impending weather. We don't know what's gonna happen tonight, but I just wanted to let council know, let the public know. We've got crews, you know, on standby, ready to come out if need be. They've done some pre-treatment to the roads in case in a freezing rain scenario. You know, I guess it isn't always, you know, it doesn't always work tremendously, but we'll also start our crews fairly early in the morning so they can get in, check out the roads before the morning commute and take any precautions that are needed at that point. So we'll continue monitoring that. Our public works crews, you know, monitored everything all weekend. Thankfully enough, we didn't get really much precipitation at all. The streets held up really well. We have had some calls about some frozen pipes in the community. That will probably occur more often now that we're getting some thaw within the community. So individuals, business owners, property owners can call the city during their regular business hours or the non-emergency line 426-4441 at MACECOM, and they'll dispatch out for our public works crews. They'll get out there and turn off the water as quickly as they can. We encourage people not to turn off their waters at their meters. If they break something or something goes afoul, they could be responsible for that damage. So we'll respond to those as quickly and as efficiently as we can. We've got extra staff that are able to jump on those as they can over the next day or two as well. So we hopefully it's just precautionary and we don't have a whole lot of damage in the community, but we'll maintain that. The other thing we're monitoring is the freeze thaw and any road closures that might occur when you have these heavy deep freezes underneath the road section. It'll freeze, and it'll kind of heave, and then it thaws out and you get an unstable road base in these old roads. If you drive over those, it can basically just pump the mud up and break apart the asphalt as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. And there may be some road closures this week if it so warrants to reduce heavy vehicles on some of our local roads. So that's all I have tonight for you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments for the city manager? At this time, the members of the public are invited to make public comment on any topic that's not listed on the agenda. Donna, do we have anybody signed up to make general public comment?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. Our first speaker is Thomas Wolf.
Hello, City Council and Mayor. I came here today so that I could talk to you about the homeless issue, which is pretty pressing. I do not agree with us spending more money to house homeless because it enables them and it allows them the opportunity to do nothing for themselves, which in the long run only hurts us and costs more money. So what I have done is I have created a proposal, a project idea, and I've actually done all the work for you. The only thing that's missing from there is I need to talk to the local sheriff and see how we can enforce the policies. And I was hoping that in collaboration with y'all, we could work with the police to enforce policies that help us protect our community from dangerous, unwell individuals that are streamlining into our community in a huge influx. If you further increase the cost for dealing with these individuals, they will take it upon themselves to take advantage of all of us, further costing us more money. So I'd like for us to facilitate a homeless address. I want to do background checks for these individuals. I have created a pretty detailed plan for y'all, including business incentives for local businesses. We have business incentives and tax cuts for Walmart and other places like that. But we need them for our local businesses, our family-run businesses, the bedrock of our community. So we can incentivize them to take part in this as well. To kind of explain to you the seriousness of this, per individual homelessness, it's about $30,000 a year to deal with per individual. So that means that we have the last one is like 387. The lady told us we have about 387 homeless people here now. But if you increase the beds, that number is going to skyrocket. And so we're looking at $30,000 per homeless, and we're not even accounting for the fact that if we have to incarcerate them or give them asylum because they're mentally ill, that's going to cost us a lot more money. And it puts no money back into the community, which is a serious problem. It's a degradation of our entire community. It hurts us long term, and it cycles no money back into our community. So what we should be focused on the individuals that actually want help, want to get off the streets, and are willing to go through the background checks and the drug tests to get there, to have an address that they can actually put on paperwork, to have a stable environment, to seek the help that they need so that they can become decent, well-rounded individuals in our community and give back. Because if they have a job and they're spending money locally, they're also putting more money back into the community, which helps us long-term. This is an actual solution to the homeless problem. And if we focus on it together and collaborate, we can make this sustainable and we can help our community for many, many years to come. This will not be a problem in the future if we do this.
Our next speaker is Kathy McDowell.
Mayor and Deputy Mayor, council members, and Kathy McDowell, live within the city limits. I have another project that I was working on as I stepped out of office, and that is called the Blue Star Family Flags. I don't know if any of you are familiar with those. But that was something that the Lions Club and the veterans wanted to work on together with the city, with the blessing from the city. The city would need to decide where these flags would be the best hung, but they're a blue star, they're a flag with the blue star on it. It's the family name of a person in the armed forces that's here in the United States or deployed abroad. They hang up, so we're giving honor to the families. And then we don't like this part, but if that person is killed in action, then it's changed to a Gold Star family flag. Money has been raised before, and we're willing to do a fundraiser we're not sure how many we have, how many people we have to fill these slots, but we're going to be finding that out from the veterans. And I just would like the blessing from the city council and manager to step forward and help in any way possible. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dean Jewett.
Good evening, I'm Long Basin County resident. I want to hit my 3 hot button topic. Some of you that are new to the board maybe don't know these or understand them. Some of you have heard me talk about them prior. 70% of the negative impact downtown, I believe, could be cleared up by taking care of these 3 small, simple items. Enforcement of our anti-street camping ordinance that we passed, that we do not enforce. How many people know about the blue and white van that sits over at Safeway that discharges its fluid into the parking lot? Been around for about a year. How about the white car that parks at Mason Transit or over by ProBuild and continues to do, they cook on the back of their car. They were parked underneath the pump station on Front Street. Everywhere they go, they leave garbage. Every single place. That car's been around for a year and a half. So, you know, that's a simple one. We already passed the ordinance. Let's enforce it. The pass and enforce a no lay light ordinance. Okay, pull up Aberdeen, pull up some of these communities, Spokane, that have passed these. Everybody says, well, we can't do it without a mitigation site. Absolutely, we can. You do not need a mitigation site to enforce a no lay light ordinance. It doesn't have to be the whole 24 hours. What you do is you pick an area and it's from a time frame. Okay, they cannot be there in that time frame causing a negative behavior. Everybody sees it. Anybody that goes downtown sees it. The next one is passing and enforcing a shopping cart ordinance. Look up Lakewood. Okay. Shopping carts. How long does a shopping cart have to impede the flow of pedestrian traffic before it becomes an issue? Because there's 3 or 4 of them sitting on the sidewalk by Safeway that have been there for weeks and weeks. You know, at one time, there was an individual in town that collected over 100 carts. How is that? I mean, that's really almost insane. Okay, and to do nothing about it, that is even more insane. Our street population, as our first speaker has talked about, has increased significantly. Well, in that 400 range. Are they Mason County residents that lost their jobs? Or are they people that have came from other areas? I think we all know the answer to that one. What kind of negative and or positive behavior do they create in our community? We had a fire at Brewer Park where a police officer had to go and respond to it. And then he was attacked by the individual. And how many times has there already been fires on a Brewer Park? Why is that even allowed still? So, wish I had about 19 minutes, but I don't. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, we have one person on Zoom, and that's Colleen Carmichael.
Good evening, Mayor Inesco, Deputy Mayor Schmidt and and council members. I was going to talk on another topic tonight, but I thought important to address some of the comments made. Facts are very important when you're talking about the homeless. And I encourage all of you to look at the National Alliance to End Homelessness because there is actual data, proven data, that states that it is $35,000 per year to keep someone on the streets. It is $31,000 per year to criminalize an individual, and it's $15,000 a year to house people. There is no data to support the fear and myth that if you provide services, it will increase the number of homeless. In fact, the data states that if you offer services, it reduces the amount of people in homelessness. And the reason that the increase in homelessness continues has more to do with poverty and more to do with lack of affordable housing than it does the people who are on the streets. So if anyone in the community would like to know about the data and about the statistical information that supports that, you should be speaking directly with any of the service providers in your town who do the work of homeless services and who have the information, because we have to report it to government entities because of the funding. So I encourage you to please not listen to fear and instead look for yourself for data that is verifiable and is available to anyone in the public who is interested in looking at that. I appreciate your time tonight and hope next city council meeting I'll be able to talk to subject that I wanted to speak about tonight, which is addiction and the stigma that goes with addiction and how that is actually causing more addiction than it is reversing the trend, which is to try and help people get the stabilization and the information that they need to support them in their addiction, which is a medical condition and not a moral failing of the person who is involved with drug use. So I encourage you again to talk to medical providers, talk to any of the addiction providers in town, and they will tell you the same thing that I am telling you. And I encourage you to please look at facts and not listen to fear. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen.
That's all we have, Mr. Mayor.
The council have any new item questions tonight?
Let's got one, very similar topics, just wanted to call attention, looking ahead, we got two study sessions that I know we've been waiting to talk about for a long time. Just wanted to just remind everybody, so the first one up is gonna be comp planning, which may sound like a dry and boring topic, but it's not, it's actually very, very important. It's the plan for Shelton's roadmap for the future, for growth and all that. And then public safety is a huge one, so. Yeah, we've been talking about public safety for a long time, and this will be the first kind of open public working session with it. So looking forward to that here in February 1st too. So I think it's probably good for us to get our thoughts together and get them to Mark if we got questions, right? So we can be productive in those conversations, but big topics, and definitely looking forward to the discussion on that.
Absolutely appreciate that, Deputy Mayor. These study sessions are meant to be, much more interactive than these regular meetings. We want to provide the council as much information as we can. So if we know any particular topic, subtopic within these agenda items beforehand, we're happy to kind of provide more information because we want to be as thorough as we can and happy to provide as much detail as possible. So you can become as informed as possible and give us as much direction. That's the forum for us to have that direction in moving forward with any initiatives that you feel is important.
Right. Our next meeting is Tuesday, February 6th, 2024 at 6 p.m. We also have study session January 23rd at 6 p.m. This meeting is adjourned at 7:03.